So let's have a discussion of today's important news. Okay, there are four important news that I'll cover today. One is India-Saudi Arabia relations. Okay, another is a very interesting report that has come up. The report deals with the coastal elevation. I'll discuss that in detail. The third is the bifurcation of Jammu and Kashmir, which has now started to take place. Okay, and what is next in that situation. And lastly, I'll discuss a little on that WhatsApp has been now, phone surveillance which WhatsApp thoda ja problem hai. There's a spyware that's going on right now. So let's discuss the first news, which is India-Saudi Arabia relations. So before discussing it, I'll tell you the context, why it is important. Because recently Prime Minister Modi ji, they went to Saudi Arabia. Why did they go to Saudi Arabia? Because in Saudi Arabia there was a Davos in desert. There was a Davos in desert kind of a event there. So Davos in desert means that Davos normally is in Switzerland, and in Davos what happens is there's a World Economic Forum every year. There's a World Economic Forum that takes place, and in that World Economic Forum, a lot of business people, governments, they come together, they interact with each other, what to do about the world economy, where is the problem, and all those kind of things. So Saudi Arabia this time has organized a similar kind of an event in this place, Riyadh, and this is being said as Davos in desert. So Prime Minister went there and he met the Crown Prince, right? So he met there the Crown Prince, MBS, which is short form, it's called MBS, but it is Mohammed bin Salman. So he's met him, and finally they have discussed certain key issues with respect to Indian international relations with India and Saudi Arabia relations. So from examination perspective, it is very important in GS2. Right, in GS2 you have international relations topic, where you have to study about India's relation with other countries, and one of the very important countries is Saudi Arabia. So before discussing what has happened over there, let us discuss that what are the things that India needs from Saudi, and what are the things that Saudi needs from India. And so first of all, let's discuss that what is the requirement of India from Saudi Arabia. A relation means that there is a give and take relationship should be there, what are we expecting from Saudis and what Saudis are expecting from us. So let us see what India needs from Saudi. So the most important thing that India needs from Saudi is oil, right? So for India's energy security, Saudi Arabia is extremely important. There's not an inch of doubt about it. So much of the oil, in fact the second largest oil importer of India is Saudi Arabia. The first is Iran, and on the second level it is Saudi Arabia. So energy security is something which you cannot take granted for, because India's oil dependency is very high. In fact, the total oil consumption in India, 80% of it comes from the import of the oil that we're importing from countries like Saudi and Iran. So the most important thing is energy security. Other than energy security, we also need Saudi Arabia for investment. Now Saudi Arabia, the government of Saudi Arabia, because of the oil, they have a lot of cash, they have a lot of money, right? And now they are doing what? They are going to other countries and investing in those nations. So they've built a very interesting fund called Sovereign Wealth Fund. So Saudi Arabia has built a very interesting fund called Sovereign Wealth Fund, and in which they are pulling in a lot of cash which is already available with them because of the revenues that they've got from the oil sector, and this cash they are using it for investing in countries like India and other developing nations. So for an investment purpose, especially in infrastructure and all, we need a lot of support of the Saudi Arabia. That's very important. So India needs investments, and Saudi Arabia can be a very important country by which we can get investments, etc. Third, India is building a strategic oil reserve. Please understand this. India is building a strategic oil reserve, right? So strategic oil reserve means that India is building a reserve of oil which it can use potentially in the future when there will be lack of oil in India. It's like a cushion, it's like a buffer. Suppose something happens in the outside market, oil prices shoot up, shoot down, or there's a scarcity of oil in the world. So India can use this strategic oil reserve which India is trying to build in 3 or 4 locations across India, and India is expecting that Saudi Arabia should contribute to this strategic oil reserve in case if something happens in the future with respect to oil security. That's also very important. Fourth important thing that India needs is that a lot of Indian diaspora, lot of Indian diaspora, which means migrants from India working in Saudi Arabia. So they are working in infrastructure sector. They are working as both as blue collar and white collar officials. So what India needs is, India needs that Saudi Arabia, the government of Saudi Arabia should be, receptive towards their safety and security. That's very important, because these are Indians that are working outside India, and बहुत important है कि ये लोगों की safety and security Saudi Arabia की सरकार जो है वो ensure करके रखे. So Indian diaspora की बहुत एक important है. Fifth, next India needs is a cooperation on security issues. Cooperation on security issues. For example, terrorism. Now, the thing is that globally the terrorism is a very big issue, as you all know. Now the ideological perspective or the ideological motivation of all the global terrorism comes from Saudi Arabia, because here there is a Islamic ideology which is called Wahhabism, which fuels terrorist organizations across the world. So in order to fight terrorism, you need to make sure that you have some kind of interaction with Saudi people, so that you come to know, your intelligence organizations come to know that which are the modules that are active, what is the source of funding they are having, etc. Because many terrorist organizations are also receiving a lot of funding from religious donations, and these religious donations are coming somewhere directly or indirectly from Saudi Arabia. So if you have the government of Saudi Arabia in your in your confidence, so definitely we can do something about it, है ना. तो ये भी बहुत important है कि security के ऊपर हमें cooperation चाहिए, क्योंकि in India the terrorism is one of the most important issue, है ना. In the last 4 to 5 years there have been multiple attacks, है ना, and these attacks have not just happened in one place, they have happened across India. Mostly they have been concentrated in Kashmir, but yes, in Punjab also you have Gurdaspur, you have all these areas have Pathankot, there was an attack. So we need some kind of cooperation on security, and Saudis can help us in that aspect as well. So these are certain things that India needs from Saudi Arabia. On the other hand, Saudi Arabia needs what? Number one thing. Recently, the old partners of Saudi Arabia, like United States and Turkey, these are the old partners of Saudi Arabia. The most important partner is USA and Turkey as well. They are not very forthcoming when it is coming to issues that concern Saudi Arabia. For example, Iran issue is there. So they are not very forthcoming in that, which means Saudi Arabia is trying to diversify its relation. So diversification of relation, which means Saudi Arabia is trying to find new friends. Because the old friends are not forthcoming in responding to the strategic issues जो Saudi Arabia के हैं. So one of the very important country that could be a good friend of Saudis are India. So India will offer that particular thing. Second, obviously, India is a huge market. Huge market. In fact, if India stops buying oil today and starts switching to renewable energy, Saudi's economy will fall, because most of the Saudi oil revenue is coming from the users in India. In fact, you guys, whenever you go for this refueling of your petroleum tanks and etc., you are providing revenue to the Saudis. So Saudis are India is actually a market. It's a huge consumption market for them. Thirdly, obviously, return on investment. So India needs investment. Saudis will pool that investment. Why? Because obviously Indian market offers huge returns, high returns on investment. So that is also a very important thing that Saudi Arabia needs. So Saudi Arabia also has some kind of take relation, and India also has some kind of give relation. It is not just that India is only taking something from Saudi and nothing. It's not giving something in return. It's a two-way. It's a two-way road. Yes, manpower. Saudi manpower from India is definitely something which is extremely important for Saudi, human resource. So India and Saudi Arabia relations, you can well imagine that it's not just one way, but it is two way. So both the countries need each other. Now let us come to the second aspect of the relations, that is the problem areas. What are the issues both of them are having with each other? What are the issues that both of them are having? Number one issue is Saudi's relation with Pakistan. So this is one issue, right? And the second issue is, right, India's relation with Iran. So these are the two important problems and thorny issues between Saudis and India. Now Saudi has a very calm and good relation with Pakistan because both of them are Muslim countries. They have been part of many core Muslim organizations at various points of time. So Saudi's relation with Pakistan is something which is very, very historic relations are there. Now because of these relations, Saudi has a particular stand on Kashmir issue. And Saudi had a particular stand on Kashmir issue which is basically tilted towards Pakistan. And so when Saudis have a particular stand on Kashmir which is tilted toward Pakistan, India always has this problem that Kashmir is always an internal issue and no other extra power should interfere in the these kind of इसमें नहीं interference करनी चाहिए. लेकिन Saudi always gives support to Pakistan on Kashmir standing, which India doesn't like. So this is a strategic dispute between India and Pakistan India and Saudi Arabia when it comes to Kashmir standing. On the other hand, India's relation with Iran is very cozy, which means Iran is, as I told you, it is the largest oil exporter to India. Saudi comes second. Apart from this, there is a Shia support as well. And thirdly, the leader-to-leader interaction is also very good. So when India maintains a good relation with Iran, this is not very much acceptable to Saudis as well. Why? Because Saudi and Iran are having some Cold War kind of a situation in this part of the world. And as I have already told you, this Cold War is because of two things. One is religious in nature, right? Another is economic in nature. So both of them are having a Cold War from like many years because of two things. One is religious and another is economic. Religious, why? Because Saudis are mostly Sunnis and Iranians are mostly Shias, and there's always a conflict between Sunnis and Shia. It's a religious war that is going on like for the centuries and centuries of Islamic civilization. And the second is economic because both of them share the same Persian Gulf, right? Saudis are on the south of the Persian Gulf and Iranians are on the north of the Persian Gulf, and Persian Gulf is full of oil. And so if you have a sea in between you which is having black gold, so probably you will have fights. So both of them are going on a Cold War. So anyone having a relation with opponent, the other person is always not very much, it's suspicious about him. For example, if India maintains a good relation with Iran, so Saudis are suspicious about India. And similarly, if India maintains Saudis maintain a good relation with Pakistan, then Indians are not very much susceptible. So because of these two thorny issues, both of them had a not a very good relation, we can say. Yes, it was working, but it was not very good relation. Now what has happened is they have completely said that we are now going for strategic relation. So please write this word, strategic relation. So I'll tell you in foreign service, in foreign diplomacy, what do you mean by strategic relation? There's one relation which is your give and take relation. Give and take relation means that I am your customer, you are my supplier, and both of them are having that kind of a relationship where supplier is providing some kind of goods to the customer. That's a give and take relationship. Strategic relationship means that I'm such a good friend of yours that if something happens to you tomorrow, I'm gonna come and help you in that. Are you getting? That's called strategic relation. Strategic relation is not just customer or supplier relationship. It is more than that. It is more about friendship. It is more about saving each other in times of crisis. तो इस टाइप का जब रिलेशन होता है तो उसको हम strategic relation बोलते हैं. Strategic relationship involves defense. Strategic relation involves security. Strategic relation involves your intelligence, information जो भी है उसकी हम आपको provide कर रहे हैं. Strategic relation involves कि we are there for you, standing with you, shoulder to shoulder in terms of crisis. The crisis probably can be defense, it can be economic, etc. So strategic relation is a long-term relationship. It's not a short-term relationship. So now both the countries have gone for strategic relationship, which is very interesting. Why? Because they have some very big issues. They have very big issues that can be a problem, a glitch in strategic relation. But still they are going for a strategic relation. Why? Because they have said one interesting thing, that this strategic relationship will be based on one important principle, and that is that we will not interfere in each other's internal matter. So that is what the principle is. So they say that strategic relation will be pursued only when the interference in each other's internal matter will be stopped. which is saying that Saudis will not interfere in Kashmir issue and India will not interfere in Iranian issue. Are you getting the point? So our relation with Iran is not subject to Saudis, and Saudi's relation with Pakistan is not subject to India. Saudis will not do anything which creates problem for India when they are dealing with Pakistan, and vice versa is also equally true. So that is what they are doing, and they have gone for the strategic relation, and in strategic relation they will cooperate on defense, which means regularly there will be defense exercises that will be taken. Both of the countries will take defense exercise. Similarly, intelligence offering will be there, fighting terrorism will be there, and all these kind of things will be there. So this is a total A to Z of your relationship between India and Saudi Arabia. Now what kind of question you can expect in your GS mains? किस टाइप का क्वेश्चन आ सकता है? तो इसमें एक क्वेश्चन तो सिंपल सा बनता है कि डिस्कस द रीसेंट engagements of India with Saudi Arabia, है ना, and because of this engagements both of them are taking the relationship to a strategic level, है ना, discuss the various factors responsible for it. So something like this you can expect a question. Is it absolutely clear? So in GS2 you can expect this question. Clear है? GS2. So GS2 में क्या होगा? जो इंटरनेशनल रिलेशंस है आपका उसमें ये क्वेश्चन आएगा, ठीक है? तो दैट्स वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. तो दिस वाज द फर्स्ट न्यूज़ आई वांटेड टू डिस्कस. लेट्स डिस्कस द सेकंड न्यूज़. हाँ जी, सेकंड न्यूज़ आपने लिखी है? हाँ जी, बताओ सेकंड न्यूज़. हाँ, तो एक रिपोर्ट आई है सेकंड न्यूज़ में. एक मैंने ऑर्गेनाइजेशन का नाम मेंशन किया है, वो है नेचर कम्युनिकेशंस. सो ये जो रिपोर्ट है ये आपके एक्सप्लेन सेक्शन में है ना, ऑन द राइट साइड ऑफ योर एक्सप्लेन सेक्शन ये रिपोर्ट है. तो आई होप आपने यू मस्ट हैव रेड दिस रिपोर्ट, है ना. तो ये रिपोर्ट क्या बोल रही है? देखो, एक स्टडी हुई थी पहले, है ना, थोड़े कुछ साल पहले स्टडी हुई थी. उन्होंने क्लाइमेट चेंज की वजह से, बिकॉज ऑफ द क्लाइमेट चेंज, they brought out a report that because due to the climate change the sea level will rise, and the rise in the sea level will flood the coastal areas. So because of the climate change, the rise in sea level will what it will do? It will flood the coastal areas. So there was a report, it came a little while back, है ना, and this report said that almost like because of the climate change they are analyzing how much rise in sea level is happening. And for the past many years they are analyzing how much sea level is rising, and the analysis is being done through a satellite, ठीक है, through a NASA satellite. So the analysis is being done through a NASA satellite. So NASA satellite is monitoring that how much sea level is rising year on year basis across the earth. So they brought a report some years back, and they said because of the rise in the sea level, the coastal areas will get flooded, and the gravity of the problems, they said, is that, for example, they said because of this flooding of the coastal areas, almost 5 million people in India are vulnerable to this situation, which means almost 50 lakh Indians are vulnerable to coastal erosion because of the change in the sea level. Are you getting my point? Now they have brought a report which said that the earlier report that they brought was wrong. Now that's a very interesting thing. They brought a report which says that the earlier report they brought was wrong. Now they have pointed out that it's not 5 million, it's almost 36 million. So they've said this, that it's not 50 lakh, it's like 3.6 CR people, 3.6 crore people in India are vulnerable to coastal erosions. Now why they have amended this report? Because they said that in earlier report there was a technical glitch. The satellite, while it was measuring the entire situation, the satellite took the tree and all those kind of things as well into account. And thus these trees and everything, when it was taken into account, the coastal elevation, they were measuring coastal elevation. Coastal elevation means, like, for example, if this is sea and this is coast, this is coastal elevation, this is mean sea level, है ना? So if this is your, है ना, so this is your coastal elevation. Now if coastal elevation will come down, which means the sea level is rising, If the coastal elevation comes down, which means the sea level is rising. Now the report, the satellite was monitoring what? The reduction in the coastal elevation because the rise in the sea level. Now as the satellite was monitoring it, what happened exactly was that the satellite monitored it wrongly, which means the satellite pointed that the coastal elevation has fallen by this much amount. But when it was checked by going there physically, the coastal elevation was not declining to the extent that satellite was pointing out. It was declining to a very high level of, so for example, the satellite pointed that the coastal elevation has come down to this level, but by going and physically checking there, in fact it declined to a very large extent. The rate at which it was declining is at a very large extent. So this is a problem. The satellite judged it incorrectly. And thus the coastal elevation is now declining on a very high rate as compared to it was declining initially. Now that's a very big problem. इसकी वजह से क्या हो रहा है इसकी वजह से they have pointed that 36 million people in India are vulnerable now. है ना, तो almost 3.6 crore people are vulnerable, and by 2050 they have pointed that almost half of Bombay will be in water. That's also a very big problem because Mumbai is one of the most economic capital of India, financial capital of India, and it will be underwater by 2050, 50% of Bombay. So if you can see this image today in Indian Express, they've shown this, that this percentage of Mumbai will be underwater. Now that is what is going on. So this is something which is very alarming. Now where you can expect a question here, you can expect a question in GS3. In GS3 they can give you a question. कि what is the situation of your coastal flooding, ठीक है, तो ये सारी चीज़ें GS3 में आपको पूछी जा सकती हैं. Last topic which is very very important. हाँ जी, क्या है topic? हाँ जी जसदीप, what is the topic?
Bifurcation of J&K towards net.
Everyone please pay attention here. Bifurcation of J&K last topic है, ठीक है. Now हाँ जी, आर्टिकल 370 कब रिवोक किया था? कौन सी? 5th of August. So आर्टिकल 370 was revoked on 5th of August, है ना, 2019. And then finally they decided that on 31st of October, है ना, almost after 2 months, August, September, हाँ, almost 2.5 months after it, the 31st October, this the plan of abrogation of article 370 will be put into exercise, right? That is what they've done. So they said article 370 will not be there, and the state of Jammu and Kashmir will be reduced to 2 union territories. One UT will be of Jammu and Kashmir and another will be of Ladakh, and so that is what the notification came. The debate on it was a totally different thing. Okay, we are not getting into this debate that whether it was right or wrong and what happened afterwards. But now what they've done is they are now implementing this abrogation of article 370. So on 31st of October, they've decided that now 2 different UTs will be made. One UT will be of Jammu and Kashmir and another will be of Ladakh. Now you will ask a normal question, sir, what they were doing for these 2 months? They were basically putting in place basic architecture. Basic architecture, for example, they have bifurcated police, they have bifurcated chief secretaries, they have appointed 2 lieutenant governors. So they were putting in basic architecture that after 31st of October, Jammu and Kashmir will have this DGP, Jammu and Kashmir will have this chief secretary, Jammu and Kashmir will have this particular lieutenant governor, etc. So they were putting the basic architecture that on 31st of October, the basic architecture of the government should be there. Now basic architecture is in place. Now they are doing it further. Now they are going further, and it is said that it will take almost 1 year till you can find the complete bifurcation of the state. It will take another 1 year. Why? So now Indian Express has covered that there are many issues that will be there, which they will try to solve in another year. Okay, so 1 year will be, at least 1 year is required to complete bifurcation of the state. So let us discuss what are those key issues that will be there. है ना, 1 साल क्यों लगेगा और क्या कारण है उसका. तो सबसे पहली प्रॉब्लम ये है कि सबसे पहली जो इशू है वो है ऑफिसर्स, एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन. देखो right now the administration of Jammu and Kashmir is one, है ना? Right now administration of Jammu and Kashmir is one, but from now onwards there will be two administrations. One will be of the UT of J&K, another will be of UT of Ladakh. Now the problem is that who will go in the administration of Ladakh and who will go in the administration of Jammu and Kashmir. Now obviously they are asking everyone that where do you want to go. The existing bureaucracy, they are asking where you want to go, and people and the officers and the administrators are telling that we want to serve in Jammu and Kashmir UT, or we are telling we want to serve in Ladakh UT. So it's on choice, है ना? But the problem is that in the administration of Jammu Kashmir, almost 70 to 80% of the total officers belong to Jammu and Kashmir. So very few are ready to move to Ladakh. Now Ladakhis are facing this problem that there are very few people who are coming in to Ladakh to work. So they're trying to sort out this issue that how additional manpower can be created for Ladakhi population. ठीक है, so सबसे पहले तो यही चीज़ है कि ऑफिसर्स की जो डिवीज़न होनी है, क्योंकि जो पहले हुए हैं वो तो बेसिक डिवीज़न है, जो फर्स्ट हुए हैं ना, जो जम्मू एंड कश्मीर का पुलिस है वो तो बेसिक आर्किटेक्चर है, पूरा ब्यूरोक्रेसी हमें डिवाइड करनी है, तो पूरी ब्यूरोक्रेसी को डिवाइड करना है। तो वो पूछ रहे हैं हर कि तुम कहाँ जाना चाहते हो, तुम J&K जाना चाहते हो या लद्दाख जाना चाहते हो। द प्रॉब्लम इज़ कि जो 70 to 80% जो एग्जिस्टिंग वर्कफोर्स है ना गवर्नमेंट में, वो जम्मू कश्मीर के लोग हैं रहने वाले, तो दे आर नॉट रेडी टू शिफ्ट टू लद्दाख, एंड दैट्स समथिंग विच इज दे आर फाइंडिंग अ प्रॉब्लम। द सेकंड मेजर इशू इज विद रिस्पेक्ट टू लॉज। नाउ देखो आर्टिकल 370 को रिपील कर दिया गया है, इसका मतलब नाउ इंडिया का वो इंटेग्रल पार्ट बन चुका है कम्प्लीटली। जम्मू कश्मीर इज नाउ द इंटेग्रल पार्ट ऑफ इंडिया कम्प्लीटली। नाउ व्हेन जम्मू एंड कश्मीर हैज बीन मेड इंटेग्रल पार्ट ऑफ इंडिया कम्प्लीटली, इट वुड इन्वॉल्व दैट देयर विल बी सर्टेन लॉज ऑफ J&K दैट शुड नॉट बी एप्लीकेबल टू जम्मू एंड कश्मीर एनी मोर, is it or not? So they will be repealing of certain laws, है ना? They will be repealing of certain laws. So those laws that India doesn't want Jammu and Kashmir to have, है ना? So they will repeal those laws. Second, there will be retainment of other laws, which means that those laws that the center government feels that they are important, they will retain those laws. And lastly, thirdly, they will say that in those laws where you can do minor modifications, we can keep those laws by modifying it, and a little small, minorly we can modify. Now because of the article 370, you all know that what used to happen was, if there was any central law that used to come, they always used to say that this central law will now be applicable to rest of India except for Jammu and Kashmir. And if Jammu and Kashmir Assembly says that we want this law to come, so this law will be applied to state of Jammu and Kashmir. Is it or not? This was the condition now. Now all the central laws will come to Jammu and Kashmir because there is no article 370 anymore. For example, Right to Education Act. Earlier on, Right to Education Act was applicable across India. Now Right to Education Act was not applicable to Jammu and Kashmir state. Why? Because Jammu and Kashmir state had a say that we want this law or not. Now after abrogation of article 370, Right to Education Act will be applicable to the state of Jammu and Kashmir as well, है ना? So there will be three things that will be happening now. Because of these three things, there will be confusion, है ना? There will be confusion or not, because it's like for the past 70 years they are working under this architecture. Now the architecture has been completely replaced. Now there will be confusion. For example, there's a law called Juvenile Justice Act. Which act? Juvenile Justice Act. There's a very important law, Juvenile Justice Act. You probably would have heard about this law in Nirbhaya case, है ना? In fact today there is a news as well कि निर्भया का जो वो 5-6 लोग पकड़े हुए हैं तिहाड़ जेल में, तो उनके हफ्ता ही रह गया अब, है ना? They are left with only 7 days, है ना? तिहाड़ jail has given them this thing कि you have 7 days of filing a mercy petition. If you file a mercy petition, it is fine. If you don't file a mercy petition, we are going with other legal things, है ना? That means they are going with capital punishment for them. So 7 days ही उनके पास रह चुके हैं, है ना? तो निर्भया केस के अंदर जो जुवेनाइल जस्टिस एक्ट बड़ा इंपॉर्टेंट न्यूज़ में था, तो इसमें क्या हुआ था? जुवेनाइल एक था, पहले डेफिनेशन क्या थी जुवेनाइल की? 18 ईयर्स, कि anyone who is below 18 years is a juvenile, है ना? You probably would have heard. But because there was a guy who committed such a heinous crime, so they decided to change this act, they amend this act, and they said that in heinous cases, the age of the juvenile will be considered 16. So the child age was considered to be below 16, not below 18 in heinous crimes, not in all crimes, heinous crimes, which means those crimes which are, which are like rape, है ना? या child rape, या murder, या terrorist acts, etc. So they reduced the age to 16 years. Now Juvenile Justice Act was applicable to entire India except for the state of Jammu and Kashmir. In Jammu and Kashmir, Juvenile Justice Act, they had their own Juvenile Justice Act, had the same clause. What clause? That 18 years will be considered the juvenile. Now when you will abrogate Article 370, India's Juvenile Justice Act will come into picture and they will replace the age of which is that 18 to 16 years. Now that's a very big problem. Why? Because in Jammu and Kashmir, many youth below the age of 18 years are attracted to some kind of ideological movements, है ना? And terrorism is considered to be a heinous act. So probably the government will make sure के those youth who are like at the age of 16 or 17 years, they will be put behind the jail because they are involved in terrorist activities or separatist activities or seditious activities. So that's a very tragic thing to happen. So there will be massive confusion. Earlier on, they were considered to be juveniles and they were thrown to a correction home. Now they will be taken to a normal jail, है ना? So that's a very big problem. तो जुवेनाइल जस्टिस एक्ट के अंदर जो 18 से 16 साल कर देंगे तो कश्मीर में जो यूथ इन्वॉल्व है, जो भी है ना, इन्वॉल्व है या सस्पिशियसली इन्वॉल्व है, जो भी है, ये लोगों को अंदर कर दिया जाएगा. एंड देन दे विल बी थ्रोन टू नॉर्मल जेल्स, नॉट द करेक्शनल होम्स. सो दैट्स अ वेरी बिग प्रॉब्लम. सेकेंड इज कास्ट रिजर्वेशन. So second confusion will happen because of caste reservation. Now in Jammu and Kashmir there is no caste reservation because the population of scheduled caste and scheduled tribes are very less. So there is no caste reservation. The jobs and the occupation are based on regional reservations, not on caste reservations. So they've decided कि है ना, लद्दाख को इतने % नौकरियां देंगे हम, जम्मू को इतने % नौकरियां देंगे. तो रीजनल उनकी क्लासिफिकेशन है, रिजर्वेशन है, कास्ट बेस्ड रिजर्वेशन नहीं है. बट द मोमेंट ये इंडिया का कानून आके लग जाएगा तो दे विल हैव टू हैव अ कास्ट बेस्ड रिजर्वेशन एज वेल. सो दैट्स अगेन अ कंफ्यूजिंग जो हो रहा है. And then other than that there are many things like land laws. तो इसके अंदर भी काफ़ी चेंजेस करने की ज़रूरत है. CRPC है ना, CRPC अब इंडिया का लगेगा उसके ऊपर. तो CRPC जो अभी जम्मू एंड कश्मीर का था वो रिप्लेस करके इंडिया का CRPC लगेगा. एंड देयर आर मैनी डिफरेंसेस बिटवीन इंडिया CRPC एंड J&K CRPC. IPC में कुछ ज़्यादा चेंज नहीं होगा बिकॉज जो जम्मू एंड कश्मीर का IPC है दैट इज रणबीर पीनल कोड, है ना, RPC बोलते हैं उसको. एंड RPC इज आइडेंटिकल टू IPC. आइडेंटिकल मतलब एक क्लॉज उसका सेम है. तो IPC में कुछ ज़्यादा प्रॉब्लम नहीं होगी, लेकिन CRPC में काफ़ी चेंजेस होंगे. तो ये सारे लॉज कन्फ्यूजन क्रिएट करेंगे. तो दैट इज़ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. तो इसमें कैसे वो मैनेज करना है एक साल, तो वो चीज़ें देखनी है. तो जो इंडियन एक्सप्रेस ने पॉइंट आउट किया है. एंड लास्ट जो एक प्रॉब्लम आएगी वो है एसेट्स के अंदर, एसेट्स और लायबिलिटीज़. देखो अभी कोई बिल्डिंग है जम्मू एंड कश्मीर में, कोई सरकारी बिल्डिंग है. वो सरकारी बिल्डिंग क्या है? वो गवर्नमेंट का एसेट है. जैसे चीफ सेक्रेटरी का घर हो गया या जो कोई गवर्नमेंट की बिल्डिंग होगी, है ना, तो वो क्या है? एक एसेट है. किसका? जम्मू एंड कश्मीर की गवर्नमेंट का. नाउ द जम्मू एंड कश्मीर गवर्नमेंट विल बिकम टू गवर्नमेंट्स. नाउ दे हैव टू डिसाइड दैट विच एसेट विल गो टू विच गवर्नमेंट. एंड दैट्स ऑल्सो वेरी कंफ्यूजिंग, कई बार हो जाता है. एंड इनफैक्ट लायबिलिटी भी डिसाइड होएगी. लायबिलिटी मतलब कि उनके अगर कहीं लोन देने हैं या कुछ भी है ना, क्योंकि जम्मू कश्मीर का भी कर्जा होगा कुछ ना कुछ. जैसे पंजाब का कर्जा है ना, तो पंजाब ने सेंटर गवर्नमेंट को काफ़ी कर्जा देना है. तो इसी हिसाब से जम्मू एंड कश्मीर ऑल्सो इज इन डेट. तो वो डेट कैसे डिवाइड होएगा कि इतना डेट अब लद्दाख देगी और इतना डेट जम्मू एंड कश्मीर की यूटी देगी, तो वो भी सारी चीज़ें अकाउंट होंगी. तो ये सारे प्रोसीजरल हर्डल्स आएंगे. इनफैक्ट दीज प्रोसीजरल हर्डल्स आर नॉट वेरी मच स्पेसिफिक टू J&K. इट इज़ स्पेसिफिक टू एनी रीऑर्गेनाइजेशन दैट हैपन्स इन इंडिया, है ना. तेलंगाना की रीऑर्गेनाइजेशन बोल दो या कुछ भी बोल दो, तो ये रीऑर्गेनाइजेशन में प्रॉब्लम आती है. तो आपको क्वेश्चन GS2 में आ सकता है ना. यू कैन गेट अ क्वेश्चन इन GS2 कि रीऑर्गेनाइजेशन तो हो जाती है, लेकिन प्रोसीजरल जो काम है रीऑर्गेनाइजेशन के बाद वो कैसे होगा, है ना, उसमें क्या कन्फ्यूजन है और उसमें क्या वे आउट्स हैं. तो सम काइंड ऑफ क्वेश्चंस यू कैन कम अक्रॉस. तो ये 3 इंपॉर्टेंट खबरें हैं, ठीक है. और